Stop growing tomatoes. That might sound drastic, and after all, tomatoes are everywhere. Nearly every gardener grows them, and they seem like the most obvious choice. But here's a reality most people aren't told. Tomatoes are actually one of the least efficient crops when you consider the time, space, and effort they demand. They require constant attention, regular watering, pruning, staking, pest control, and ongoing disease management. And just when harvest arrives, the market becomes saturated. Everyone is selling tomatoes at the same time. Prices drop, competition rises, and all that work often brings very little return. Now imagine growing plants that generate 10, 20, or even 50 times more income per square foot. Crops that demand less care, take up less space, and often sell out immediately. Today, I'm going to introduce 7 crops that experienced growers are turning to. Plants that can transform even a small garden into a highly productive income source. Once you understand the difference in value, tomatoes won't seem nearly as appealing. 1. Ginseng. Ginseng grows slowly, and that slow growth is exactly what makes it so valuable. While tomatoes grow quickly, flood the market, and lose value, ginseng follows the opposite path. It develops gradually beneath the soil over several years, increasing in worth with each passing season. Wild simulated ginseng, grown in natural forest environments, can sell for hundreds of dollars per pound. Mature roots are highly sought after by herbal medicine producers, supplement companies, traditional healing markets, and international buyers. Ginseng doesn't compete with typical food crops. It competes in terms of rarity and age. The older the root and the more natural its appearance, the higher its market value. Some roots, after a decade of growth, can be worth more than a lifetime of tomato harvests. Another major advantage is where it can grow. Ginseng thrives in shaded environments, making it perfect for forest gardens, woodland edges, or unused shaded land where tomatoes would never succeed. It effectively turns overlooked space into a valuable production area. Once established, ginseng requires very little maintenance. There's no need for frequent watering, pruning, or harvesting. The soil remains undisturbed for years as the plant develops slowly underground, increasing in value with minimal intervention. This crop isn't suited for those seeking quick returns. But for growers who think long-term, ginseng offers returns that tomatoes simply cannot match. A well-established ginseng patch can outperform years, even decades, of tomato production in both profit and effort. And global demand continues to grow. As wild ginseng becomes increasingly rare and interest in natural remedies expands, prices remain strong. In that sense, ginseng is not just a crop. It's a long-term investment quietly developing beneath the surface. 2. Microgreens. If tomatoes are slow, space-intensive, and dependent on seasons, microgreens are the complete opposite. Fast-growing, compact, and continuously renewable. Microgreens grow incredibly quickly. Many varieties are ready for harvest within 7 to 14 days, sometimes even faster. This means you're not waiting months for results. You can plant, harvest, and replant multiple times each month, creating a consistent and reliable income stream. They require very little space. Microgreens can be grown indoors on shelves, kitchen counters, in spare rooms, garages, or simple growing racks. You don't need a garden, outdoor space, or even natural sunlight. Just trays, a growing medium, and basic lighting. This makes them ideal for urban living, apartments, and locations where traditional gardening isn't possible. Where microgreens truly stand out is demand. Restaurants, cafes, health-focused consumers, and specialty markets are willing to pay premium prices for fresh, locally grown microgreens. Chefs value their consistent quality, freshness, and intense flavor. Because they are harvested young, they are nutrient-dense and visually appealing, making them a staple in upscale cuisine. Here's the key financial insight. A single tray of microgreens can generate more income than an entire tomato plant produces over its full growing cycle. And unlike tomatoes, you're not dealing with months of maintenance, pest issues, or weather-related losses. Microgreens also remove many of the common risks associated with outdoor farming. There are no pests from the garden, no unpredictable weather, no drought conditions, and no risk of frost damage. Everything is controlled: temperature, light, water, and timing, resulting in consistent production and minimal losses. Successful growers often sell directly to chefs, at farmers markets, or through subscription-based customers. Because microgreens are highly perishable, buyers return regularly, creating repeat business. This leads to ongoing income instead of one-time sales. While tomatoes provide a short harvest window, microgreens offer year-round production and steady cash flow. 3. Mushrooms. Mushrooms don't just compete with traditional crops like tomatoes. They completely change the way farming works. Unlike most plants, mushrooms don't rely on sunlight. They don't grow in soil, and they aren't tied to seasons, weather, or outdoor conditions. Instead, they can be cultivated indoors, year-round, using vertical systems. Spaces like basements, garages, spare rooms, or sheds can be transformed into highly productive growing environments. This alone gives mushrooms a significant advantage over tomatoes. Popular varieties such as oyster mushrooms, lion's mane, and shiitake command premium prices, especially among restaurants, farmers markets, and health-conscious buyers. Many of these mushrooms are considered both gourmet ingredients and medicinal superfoods, which further increases their value. Their production cycle is also remarkably fast. Some types can be grown and harvested within just a few weeks after inoculation. This allows for quick returns and multiple growing cycles throughout the year. Unlike tomatoes, which depend on a single seasonal harvest, mushrooms are also extremely efficient when it comes to space. Because they grow vertically on shelves or hanging systems, even a small indoor area can produce a large amount of food and profit compared to a traditional outdoor tomato garden. Another key advantage is reduced competition. Tomatoes are grown everywhere by millions of people. Specialty mushrooms, on the other hand, remain a niche market. Fewer growers means higher demand and better pricing opportunities for those who enter the space. Mushroom cultivation focuses more on precision than physical labor. Once you understand how to manage humidity, temperature, airflow, and sanitation, the process becomes consistent and repeatable. After the initial setup, daily maintenance is relatively low, and production becomes predictable and scalable. Mushrooms turn farming into a controlled system rather than a risky venture, which is why they often outperform tomatoes in both profitability and reliability. 4. Medicinal herbs. While tomatoes are typically consumed as food for a single meal, medicinal herbs offer something much broader: long-term health benefits. This difference greatly increases their overall value. Plants such as echinacea, valerian, skullcap, ashwagandha, my lemon balm, and many others can be processed into a wide range of high-value products. They can be dried, ground into powders, made into tinctures, capsules, teas, extracts, or combined into herbal blends. Each level of processing extends shelf life and raises the product's market value. These herbs are also highly efficient to grow. Most require less water than traditional vegetables, need fewer nutrients, and can thrive in less fertile soil where crops like tomatoes would struggle. Many are perennials, meaning they only need to be planted once and can be harvested year after year. This significantly reduces labor over time. At the same time, the global demand for natural health products continues to grow. More people are turning toward plant-based remedies for wellness and prevention, creating steady demand for high-quality herbs. Small-scale growers can supply herbalists, apothecaries, wellness brands, farmers markets, and online customers. Another advantage is storage. Medicinal herbs don't spoil quickly and don't require refrigeration. When properly dried and stored, they can retain their value for months or even years. In contrast, tomatoes begin to lose value almost immediately after harvest. On a per-pound basis, medicinal herbs can sell for significantly more than tomatoes, especially when processed into finished goods. They require less space, less water, and allow far more flexibility in how and when they are sold. Medicinal herbs reward growers who think beyond short-term harvests and focus on long-term value creation. 5. Wasabi and high-value alternatives. True wasabi is one of the rarest and most expensive crops in the culinary world, and that rarity is exactly what drives its high value. Authentic wasabi, Wasabia japonica, is extremely challenging to grow. It requires cool temperatures, consistent moisture, clean flowing water, or carefully controlled humidity, and protection from direct sunlight. These strict conditions limit where it can be cultivated, keeping supply low and prices high. Because of this difficulty, most of what is labeled as wasabi around the world isn't real. Instead, it's usually a mixture of horseradish, mustard, starch, and green coloring. True wasabi has a completely different flavor. more complex, aromatic, and delicate. Chefs who understand this difference are eager to source the real product. This imbalance between supply and demand creates a major opportunity for specialized growers. Even those who don't grow mature wasabi roots can still profit. Selling young plants, seedlings, or starter stock to restaurants, farms, or hobby growers can be highly lucrative. Since real wasabi takes time to mature, many buyers are willing to pay premium prices just to secure reliable planting material. For those who prefer a simpler option, there are alternatives such as high-quality horseradish varieties. When grown carefully and marketed honestly, these can still appeal to the same market, especially restaurants seeking stronger, fresher flavors than processed substitutes provide. Wasabi is also highly efficient in terms of space. It doesn't require large fields and can be grown in controlled environments such as greenhouses, shade structures, or indoor systems. This makes it one of the highest value crops per square foot available to small-scale growers. While the learning process can be challenging, the rewards are significant. Few growers are willing to invest the time and effort needed to master wasabi cultivation. Those who do benefit from low competition and access to high-end markets where quality matters far more than price. Wasabi isn't an easy crop to grow, but for those willing to specialize, it offers rarity, exclusivity, and exceptional profit potential in a market where most crops are oversupplied. 6. Saffron crocus. If there's one crop that completely outperforms tomatoes in terms of profit potential, efficiency, and long-term return, it's saffron. Very few backyard crops can match its value per square foot. Saffron is widely known as the most expensive spice in the world. By weight, it can sell for prices comparable to, or even exceeding, this gold. A single pound of premium saffron can be worth thousands of dollars, yet it doesn't come from a rare jungle or specialized lab. It comes from a simple purple flower that can be grown right in your own garden. This spice is produced from the Crocus sativus flower, which blooms in autumn, a time when most gardens are slowing down or finishing for the season. Each flower produces only 3 fine red stigmas, which are carefully harvested and dried to become saffron. While this may seem inefficient, it's exactly what makes saffron so valuable. It's difficult to produce in large quantities, which keeps supply limited and prices consistently high. What many people don't realize is that saffron grows from bulbs known as corms, and these multiply every year. You plant them once, and instead of declining like many annual crops, your production increases over time. Each season, one bulb divides into several, naturally expanding your harvest without requiring additional planting. Saffron thrives in sunny locations with well-drained soil. It doesn't need rich soil or heavy fertilization. In fact, too much attention can reduce its performance. There's no need for staking, pruning, spraying, or frequent watering. Once established, saffron prefers minimal interference, a stark contrast to the constant care tomatoes require. Even in a small garden bed or compact growing space, you can cultivate hundreds of saffron bulbs. During its brief flowering period, harvesting is simple and quick. Each day, you collect the blossoms, remove the delicate red threads, and dry them. The process is straightforward and efficient. Once properly dried and stored, saffron retains its value for years. There's no urgency to sell immediately, no spoilage, and no pressure from market saturation. Compare that to tomatoes, which can spoil within days and quickly lose value after harvesting. Many small-scale growers generate more income from a modest saffron plot than from large tomato gardens that require months of labor. Saffron rewards patience, simplicity, and strategic thinking, not constant effort. 7. Lavender is more than just a plant. It's a natural marketing tool. It is highly drought-resistant, long-lasting, and well-suited to poor, or rocky soils where tomatoes often struggle or fail entirely. Once established, lavender requires minimal watering, very little fertilization, and almost no maintenance. It's a plant that thrives with minimal intervention. However, its real strength lies in its versatility. Unlike tomatoes, which are typically sold fresh and have a short shelf life, lavender can be transformed into a wide variety of high-value products. These include fresh bundles, dried flowers, essential oils, sachets, soaps, teas, candles, cosmetics, and herbal remedies, all from a single plant. This means one lavender plant can generate multiple streams of income. Lavender is also visually striking. Fields of blooming purple attract visitors, photographers, and tourists. Many small farms earn significant income simply by allowing people to visit, take photos, or attend seasonal events. In this way, lavender combines agriculture with branding and tourism, turning a simple crop into a full experience. Another major benefit is storage. Dried lavender can be kept for years without losing its quality or value. There's no urgency to sell immediately, no risk of waste, and no stress caused by changing market conditions. In contrast, tomatoes require quick sales and careful timing to avoid spoilage. Even a relatively small lavender plot can outperform large tomato plantings in both profit and labor efficiency. It requires fewer inputs, less maintenance, offers a longer shelf life, and provides more flexibility in how products are sold. Lavender rewards growers who think beyond basic production, those who diversify, create value, and understand that true profitability comes not from quantity, but from quality and versatility.